It is, well, quite interesting. Quite interesting.
Interesting is a word, yes.
We're calling it Switchback. Manufacturers have internal combustion plans for some electric models. Remember, we told you about Fiat saying, well, maybe the 500e could get a gas powered engine? Well, that concept is spreading out across the automotive industry. And Cadillac says there will be ICE after 2030.
There you go. And speaking of spreading out, BMW says they're getting rid of confusing model names. Are you listening, other manufacturers?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And one of the big things is I.
Yeah, I and
for injected. I don't.
I think we all know they're injected.
Yeah. I don't think there's anyone running carburetors on their new BMW, but who knows? Maybe. But why are some Americans driving without insurance? It's an interesting study from Insurify. Seems like it is a trend and not a good trend, especially if they hit you.
This affects us. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk tech this hour. Two pickup builders want to add inflatable bed ramps. Interesting.
Blow it up and then drive your lawnmower up it. I don't know. How would that work?
Well, I don't know. It seems to be just a simple aluminum ramp. Well.
We'll see. We'll see. But it's interesting even for like the trucking industry or that to have something lighter. Who knows?
As long as Boeing doesn't make it.
There you go. And Genesis prices out the GV80, the 2025 model. Interesting article from Genesis. The head of Genesis said, hey, we've completely broken away from Hyundai. We're standing on our own. We're not just Hyundai's high-end brand anymore, even though they're still affiliated with Hyundai. They're just saying they're got their wings and they're ready to fly, right?
That's true. And you know what I saw on the road the other day is it was an Equus.
Wow, that goes back a ways. But we're going to be right back with Cruise Control after this, so stay tuned because we are just getting started.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. I'm Fred Staab. He is none other than Les Jackson. And Les, a big trend, trend number one was pushback on the date for electric conversion across the automotive industry.
Mm-hmm.
And now trend number two is, well, we're bringing out electric vehicles, and we said this one was going to be completely electric, like I mentioned in the open, the Fiat 500e. Now they're saying, but, we could put a gas engine in that, too, and offer maybe a gas hybrid or a plug-in hybrid as well. I have never seen a change happen so quickly, and it makes me wonder, who pushed it too hard? Was it government agencies pushing it too hard? Was it?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just consumer demand. I think people are just not buying the electrics and really aren't buying the hybrids to the extent that they all assumed. And look at it. It's across the industry, and they know, of course. Well, wait a minute. We know how to build gasoline engines.
Sure.
We can make them do anything and partner them with anything.
Yeah, and actually the hybrid Ford sold more hybrids this month than ever before. It's very interesting to me. But
and the other interesting thing is basically autonomous driving isn't even being talked about.
No,
It's
we're
it's
go-
and I'm all for it. I love it. I love all the technology, but it's not even being discussed at the moment.
no, we're going to talk. Here's what I think: autonomous driving will be very scaled down.
Yeah.
As we're going to talk about later on, that there's going to be a requirement for automatic braking, crash mitigation to be standard
Well,
across
yes,
the lineup.
that's true.
And that is basically the level of autonomy we will have, and maybe lane keeping. That's it right now,
Yeah.
Um, while Wall Street may be happy about robo taxis, I'm not really thinking that went so
W-
well when they
Would
tried
you
that.
go get in one?
No. And
I sure wouldn't.
a little bit later on, we're going to tell you how California wants to ticket for traffic infractions autonomous cars, and they're coming up with a bill on how to do that.
Oh man.
But anyway, that's a preview of things coming up here. We've got to get to our first story. We're calling Switchback, and this week it is Stellantis. Stellantis is coming out with 25 new models this year. In 1 year. I mean, that is
How?
crazy.
Hmm.
18 were supposed to be EVs, but Natalie Knight, who is CFO, was talking about this range and said it doesn't mean, according to Knight, just because those 18 vehicles start out solely as EV, it doesn't mean they'll stay that way. We're committed very much to the EV market, but on the other hand, we have flexibility to go and grow where the consumer demand is. This was
Yep.
said during a earnings call. So that when someone in the C-suite says that, they know, that it's not just only an option; it will be happening. Don't you think?
Of course. And the nice thing, if you're building vehicles, is that making an electric one is relatively easy compared to how long it takes to design a conventional powered or a hybrid.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're already making conventional and hybrids, it's much easier if the demand kicks up for electric to use the platforms and go electric than it is to go backwards.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Flexibility,
yeah,
everything from hydrogen power, which is getting a lot more talk,
yeah,
fuel cells, which are hydrogen powered, to electric, to plug-in hybrid. It should all be very, very flexible, that they can move quickly. And I think with modern manufacturing, that there's no reason why they can't do that. And offer every car should be offered with a hybrid drivetrain. I think
it should.
eventually, right,
Yeah.
very soon. And I think we may see that. I was reading something about the Equinox Plus. Now, there's a new Equinox coming out from Chevy, and the Equinox Plus, which is sold in China, which is GM's main market, basically, supposedly there's one model that gets almost 100 miles of all electric range, and then of course it becomes a hybrid, and a less expensive model that gets 63 miles of range. Will it come here? Who knows? I think it will, but it's called the Equinox Plus. Anyway, when we come back, we'll tell you about Cadillac's plans to stay in the ICE business. When we come back on Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control. We told you Cadillac is planning to keep the internal combustion engine alive through 3030, and they're not kidding.
2030.
As
Not 30.
Did I say 3030?
3030.
We,
Wow.
we, we would be really old.
Where's Zager and Evans? Remember?
Yeah. Totally.
25, 25. That, yeah.
25, 25.
Well,
Yeah,
they go up through the years in that song.
they do. Yeah, that was actually an interesting song.
Yeah.
Anyway, uh, They plan to keep ICE engines running, and they have lots of reasons, all of them good.
People buy
Um,
them.
but also, I believe myself that because Cadillac was so successful about 15 years ago in reducing the average age of their buyers,
Mm-hmm.
appealing
Mm-hmm.
to a lower age of their buyers, that reduced it from over 60 down to 45.
Which is huge. I mean, unheard of
It's
in marketing. Yeah.
monstrous. Yeah. So, and I think they're still appealing to those people who want different things.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so, whatever it is, they, and I'm sure every other, we're going to be talking about every manufacturer in the next 6 months doing this. I'm confident. And there they are.
Yeah. Yeah. And they made the point. Mike Albano, who is the
We know, Mike.
spokesperson, we know him for a long time, and he made the point that they've basically refreshed everything in the Cadillac lineup except every gas powered vehicle except the XT5 SUV, which is a little nugget of information, which probably means that will go away or be redesigned. But the bluster is off when it comes to, I think, reality set in. And, we've said this, that the future is all different forms of propulsion.
Yep.
And here's the thing. You need to build things that people want to buy. It's like a basic building block of business. So, yeah,
Well, yes. And they want to buy these in large numbers.
yeah, they want
So
large
that's a
gas-powered
big thing.
Escalades.
Yeah.
I'll put your prognosticator house head on hat. Will we see? Will in 2030 will there still be V8 LS powered Escalades,
Um,
hybrid or
I,
non-hybrid? I'm not making you.
I bet there won't be. I think there'll be smaller displacement, but lots of power.
Okay, okay. So there might be like a 4 liter
Or
V8.
mild electric assist.
Okay, all right. I also think one thing we'll see, this putting on my prognosticator hat, all-wheel drive systems will be electric motors on the back wheels
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
a lot lighter and it's a lot easier to make it freewheel when you just don't need that, and you don't need to run the drive shaft back there and have the heavy transfer
That's
case.
right.
I think probably Jeep will stick with that format because that's what they want, but I don't think the heavy trucks will do that. That's just my take. Hey, if you are on our YouTube page or Facebook page or Twitter, X, just shoot us a note. What do you think? Will all-wheel drive be electric in the not too distant future to cut down on weight? And will the LS V8 engine survive and things like the Escalade in the Cadillac lineup? Let us know what you think. We're just kind of prognosticating here, and we're not sure. We're not sure. BMW confusing names, Les Jackson. Can you name them all? I never was able to figure all that out. I know used to stand for injected, which
Right.
is silly to continue that because
Well,
everything's
yeah.
injected or it's electric. So they put the I in front of everything and made it the i3 or the i7.
Yep. And the M's are easy.
M Performance. Yeah.
Right. That's easy.
Yeah.
The X refers, at
Crossover.
least started out as all of their SUVs.
Yeah. So that plan is to make these things easier. And it just, I tell you, I mean, you can get one. You would think the whole thing is based on numbers, right? So
Right.
M is performance. Then we have a 1, a 2, a 3 series, and 4, and then 5, and 6, and 7. But I think they lost along the way when you get an X6 M60i. X-Drive, of course, is all-wheel drive.
All-wheel drive. Okay.
Yeah. The name, you and I have not been a fan of numbers and letters for names of vehicles, although there are many manufacturers that like it. For example, Kia transitioned to it or is transitioning to it. I always found the whole BMW thing a little hard to understand, and they're not going to go back to names. They never really had names. Everything was always a number. 2002, right?
I don't remember names as far back as I've seen BMWs, which is certainly in the early 60s.
Yeah. It was always just letters and numbers. So
yeah. But they meant, like a 325i was a 3.25 liter 6-cylinder fuel injected car. It was real simple.
Yeah. You know what I still think is dumb, and it was when they had the Germans were running Cadillac, and they said, let's just put the torque rating on the back of the vehicle.
Yeah.
I think that is the dumbest thing.
Yep.
It still exists. I was thinking about that when I was prepping the show last night. I thought nobody understands that, and it just makes no sense. And the idea was, well, different powertrains, we just put the torque number. And I was like, no, that's dumb. Just get out the fishing line or the dental floss and peel that off the back. That's what I would do. It's just, it means nothing. So, but anyway, that's a big thing. We'd like to get your take on that too. What do you think about BMW changing their names? Are they confusing? Just let us know in the comments. And how would you change them? But no C for carburetor anymore.
No.
I know they never had that. I'm just being silly.
No, it's been a long, long time.
Yeah. So that's a bit of trivia. What was the last carbureted BMW? I'm not sure. I'll go 2002 as well. I'll say that. But let's talk about this next story. We'll get into it a little bit before the break. And it involves insurance. This comes from Insurify, which is a website all about insurance. And apparently, people are not insuring their cars. And they went through and did a study about why they aren't. Of course, there's obvious things like, well, hey, I don't have the money for it. And I think there's also people running around with no driver's license because they're the people that say they don't need one when they get stopped by the police. They're their own country or something like that. You ever watch those videos on the web where they get stopped and they're like, "Where's your license and registration?"
Scary.
I don't need that. I'm my own company. I'm my own country. I don't follow those laws.
Right. Wonderful.
But it's a major problem for all of us because if people don't have insurance, they're uninsured motorists, and you don't take the uninsured motorist, addition to your insurance, then you're out of luck, aren't you?
You are completely out of luck. You've got to make sure you take that. Maybe there are some states that have some kind of a fund that fee isn't contributing to, but if you're not getting some kind of protection, and you're hit by an uninsured motorist, that's it. Your insurance probably doesn't have to cover it.
All right. Well, we're going to cover our break when we come back on Cruise Control. Stay tuned.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. We're talking about insurance. This is a study from Insurified. 14%, Les Jackson, of people that hit the road without legally required coverage in 2022. 1 in 7 or 32.7 million people drove without insurance in 2022, according
That's a
to the
lot.
Insurance Research Council, IRC. That's more than in 2019, when 11.1%, or 28 million people, drove uninsured. So they go through some of the factors here of why people are driving uninsured. Um, so job losses in 2020 due to COVID and people basically not driving, they dropped their coverage, and guess what? They never got around to getting it insured again, is one reason, right?
Well, yes. And yeah, this is a real dilemma because it affects every one of us, and it affects our insurance rates.
And
We're paying for this.
um, so you have to have uninsured, even in Washington, D.C., although you're not
Yep.
quite in Washington, D.C., but you're just outside of it. In 20 states and Washington, D.C., they require drivers to have some level of uninsured motorist coverage,
Right.
adding to insurance costs. I believe New York is one of those states as well. But frankly, I don't mind that, because if it's becoming more prevalent, then I don't want to get someone run into my car and say, "Oh well, I have an old bomb and I don't care, it's wrecked." But hey, your car's wrecked, and now I'm out of a car for no
Right.
reason, right?
Yeah. Great.
Yeah, I was telling you a story. Somebody hit my car, and they actually took it. Police came. They took the guy's car because he had no insurance, and he probably just walked
Yeah.
away and didn't care, you know.
But you had no claim that you could
But I,
collect on. Well,
well,
but you had uninsured coverage.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
and it was not tremendous damage. It was like running into it in a parking lot, but still damaged, and I didn't do it,
Yeah.
you know. So, uh, this is becoming a bigger thing. I was also joking about, the people that get stopped and they're like, I don't need insurance, I don't need a driver's license, I don't need registration.
Yeah. Great.
I'm just traveling, whatever that means. I
That's
don't know
right.
what that means.
I'm my own person.
I make my own laws, man. Yeah, back off.
Okay. Well, good for you.
Did you ever watch some of those things on the web where people are stopped and they have no idea where their registration or
Yeah. Yeah.
insurance is? I mean, you can get like an envelope and just put it in the glove box and write on it insurance and registration, right?
Absolutely. Now, I will admit, all of my yearly insurance and registrations are in my glove compartment in a shuffled stack. I'm going to
So, here's
describe,
the
and
one from 10 years ago.
I just had to pull out my insurance thing because I was checking on some stuff on Sunday, um, and and I couldn't find anything newer than March of this year. Uh, so it was from last year that ended in March.
So it's a
And
good thing you looked and you went and
yeah,
printed it out and got it.
well, the
I,
fact is, I just said, well, I can give you we can go online right now and you can see that it's still covered.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's it. I don't like this trend, but it is a big problem. We're going to do a story a little later on talking about a light fender bender. Fisker, a lady got hit in her door and it broke a hinge and put a little crease in it. They totaled the whole car on a Fisker
Whew.
Ocean because the insurance adjuster had never heard of Fisker, and then he looked and there are no parts available. So they totaled a whole car for that. Isn't that a shame?
Wow.
Be a good one to buy. It's like,
It sure
hey,
would. I can fix the hinge.
yeah, we can just weld it up, and then the body work is body
Yeah,
work, right?
it's
So
just metal.
yeah, but it kind of I felt bad, that's terrible. It's
Well,
like
that's
wasteful,
that is terrible.
Yeah. But that's just a little insurance story how it all works, and
Hmm.
just kind of unsettling to see that happen. But let's move on to our next story. Let's talk tech. You like talking tech, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now this is an interesting one. It kind of doesn't make it. It sounds useful, but it kind of doesn't make sense. Uh, Now there are a couple of different takes on this. GM and Ford are looking at inflatable and deployable ramps. Now, deployable ramps, that's just like you'd find in the back of a car carrying trailer where they kind of
Right.
slide in. They're aluminum. There's a little slot for them. I could see them making something like that or folding. But this patent is actually an inflatable roll up ramp that somehow would be under extreme pressure to make it rigid enough to have weight put on it and would have some kind of support in it. And it would roll up into a neat compartment and is stowed and deployed and supported with inflatable arms to maintain the structural rigidity of the ramp. That would have to be,
But it'd be a heck of an inflated ramp.
yeah.
Uh,
The only thing I can think of that's like that are those semi-rigid boats that they use, like in the Navy when
yeah.
they're light, but they are an inflatable boat, but they have a full outboard engine on it and equipment and people, and that comes to
And
mind.
yeah, and they're inflated to hundreds and hundreds of pounds.
Yeah,
But, we're dealing with something that's, well, if it's a pickup truck, the heaviest thing you're going to put on one is maybe a motorcycle or
maybe.
a lawn tractor.
Depends if it's a heavy duty. I've seen guys put on 2,000-pound diesel engines into the bed.
Yeah, but
So I
but
don't know.
if it has inflatable legs that come down, every 2 feet, I guess it. I mean, I guess it would work, but why would you go to that expense if you can just have an aluminum slide out deployable ramp?
You could probably buy one on Amazon pretty cheap, right? I would
Yeah,
imagine.
I think so.
They're not inflatable legs. They call them rigidizing elements.
Rigidizing element. Okay.
um, I don't know. Now you need to have something, an onboard air compressor to
Yeah, and a good one.
and a good one. And this thing is going to be rolled up for a long period of time, and then you go to use it. Is it going to be okay? I don't know. I don't. I don't know. It's interesting. It's
I
lightweight,
yeah.
but
Just
I don't know.
when I read this, I all I could envision was from the movie Airplane, and the inflatable pilot came up and just silly.
So just silly, yeah. Um, my favorite scene from Airplane though is when the lady goes back. Oh, let me go in the back of the plane. I'll and play this song, and she hits everyone in the
Yeah,
head with the guitar, and it goes boing, boing.
exactly. Yep.
That's a funny movie, but there's a lot of funny lines in that. But and also I like that when they cut to the exterior shots of the jet, you heard a propeller.
Yeah. That actually I enjoyed probably the most.
Like, whoa! I think your Foley guy
Yeah.
made a mistake there. But
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit about Genesis. Genesis, this is kind of a strange photo of it. It almost looks like a die-cast model for some reason. But Genesis reveals the U.S. pricing for the 2025 GV80 SUV, one of our favorites. Available the summer of 2024. It's going to start. The 2.5-liter turbo standard all-wheel drive will start at 57.7, excluding the $1,350 freight. 2.5-liter inline turbo 4, 300 horsepower. That's a nice little engine, isn't it?
It's not bad at all. Now, Will you actually be able to buy one at that price? No, because no
Probably not.
dealer is going to order it in at that level.
Yeah.
Um,
It, it goes up from there, 58.7 for the
yep,
GT, and then climbs all the way up to the 3.5 liter advanced all-wheel drive model, which is 73,800, available this summer. Hey, we'll be right back with an At the Wheel review, so stay tuned to Cruise Control. It's a Prius alternative.
Cruise Control.
And welcome back to Cruise Control, your on-air automotive magazine. Fred Staab and Les Jackson. It's At the Wheel time, Les Jackson.
yep.
And you know, you and I like to point out vehicles that maybe if people are going out to look, they might not be familiar. It's out there. They might say, hey, you know, I want this, that, or the other thing. And we try to point out with a real-world review what you can get and maybe make you think a little bit about what you want. Now, the Prius is super popular. It's gotten great reviews, but for some, it may be a little too expensive. And also, some of the people that rode with me when we had a Prius said they did not like how far back, how raked the windshield was, that it made them feel claustrophobic. And it was a little too space age inside. So what if there was a cheaper alternative that gets very close to the mileage? Well, that's the vehicle we're going to look at. This is the Corolla Hybrid. And our model was the SE all-wheel drive model. Great styling, great set of wheels, looks low to the ground. This is a color called Underground. It almost disappeared at night. It was amazing. It was like there's no car in the driveway, but oh no, it's there. Even has a sporty two-pipe exhaust on this, although there's not a lot of horsepower on tap, about 135, and that is the combined number for everything on this vehicle. Still, I like the styling. I like the performance. It is rated at 44 combined, 47 city, and 41 highway. I was easily able to get 50 without even trying. So it's probably underrated a bit when it comes to that. But great little car as far as nimbleness. I found the acceleration to be okay. On the inside, it's pure Toyota. They have some upgraded sport seats. You can get them in black or gray. Ours were gray. There is some black, red stitching, black areas with red stitching. You know, not completely upscale. Some of the hard plastic was there, but the fact that it's a two-tone door with some matte silver trim makes it feel like it's not low rent. I never liked the just all black door cards. Yes, you do get the power display, power distribution display. Ours was all-wheel drive, so electric all-wheel drive. You even get upgraded carpet, which you don't find in most small cars. They were pushing their navigation system for $15 a month, but you don't have to use it because there's wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. No dual air conditioning, just one-zone air conditioning. There are you can set the drive mode to economy or sport, and you can force it into the EV mode at lower speeds. I kept it in normal, and I was very happy with the performance. There is a charger for your phone, and there are also some USB-C connections. Overall, the interior is clean. If you've driven a Corolla, you'll recognize it very well. This model is only available, the hybrid is only available as a four-door. Out back, the room out back is not bad. The legroom is a little tight. You do get access to a couple of USB-C ports for charging up your phone. Ours had the optional sunroof, which did take up some of the headroom, so that's something you can consider if you don't want it. Rear seats fold down for additional storage. The level of upholstery was decent. Out back in the trunk, good storage. Unfortunately, it has those open arm hinges, so they take up some of the room of the trunk. There's no power port or anything like that, and there is no spare tire. You do get a tire inflator kit and rescue hooks and things like that. But there's a little well for the tire, but unfortunately that's taken up with some electric equipment for the battery. I don't know if it's not even an option to add in a spare tire, so keep that in mind. Under the hood, 135 horsepower is what the total system puts out. You know they do hybrids well. It's a 1.8-liter four-cylinder engine along with two electric motors, since this one is all-wheel drive. You can get just front-wheel drive as well. But they even went without a engine cover to save a little money. I love the wheels on it. These are the standard wheels. I thought they were a good-looking set of factory wheels, and I like the gray color. Disc brakes all the way around.
That brings up a question for you, sir.
Yes?
Those wheels are very handsome. The tires on them are very low profile and look heavily inflated. So the question is, how smooth is the ride?
I found it to be fine. I found it to be fine on the remnants of roads that that are offered in the New York area. Paved by, I always wanted to pave a road, people. My first home paving kit. But this starts at $23,500. We have the SE model, so there's a base model. We have the SE model, but the base model starts at $23,500. The base Prius starts at $27,950. That is not the plug-in Prius. That is the regular Prius. It's not the Prius Prime. So there's about a $5,000 difference in starting price. You do give up things like no heated seats available unless you go for the limited model. No dual zone air conditioning, no heated steering wheel, things like that. But you do have an 8-inch display. You do have wireless Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, all the power windows and locks and things like that. A decent radio, 6-speaker radio that sounded fine with Sirius XM. Leather-wrapped wheel. I mean, it is like any small compact car that is upgraded in the sense that it is the hybrid, it is an upgrade. You do give the little things up. Like I mentioned, the arms come into the trunk, so they take up some space. But overall, I think it's a nice style vehicle. Looks low to the ground. Looks like you slammed it down. Rode well, got 50 miles a gallon. A little bit of aero with the spoiler out back, and I like the the splitter. I do like the snazzy exhaust out back too. So what is this going to set you back? Well, this is the SE model, all-wheel drive. This had the premium package with a blind spot monitor on color-keyed heated power outside mirrors with turn signal indicators, rear cross-traffic alert, power tilt and slide moonroof, sliding sunshade, wireless charger for your phone. So the base price was $27,140, and the premium package added $1,295. Total price $28,435, plus delivery $1,095, which came to $29,530. I'm sure there are actually some incentives on this vehicle right now. Not a huge, but $500. Hey, it pays for half of the shipping. 5-star overall safety rating on this vehicle. And as I said, I could easily beat that number that it's rated at 47 city and 41 highway. I was driving around. The lowest it ever went was 47. That was around town, and I was at 50 on the highway. So
it's good looking.
It's really
handsome.
It really is a good looking vehicle. It's solid. It's got a solid hybrid system. You can't get the hatchback in this model, so only the 4-door sedan. If you want another hybrid vehicle that's a different body style, you'd have to go with the Corolla Cross, which is a little bit lower on the miles per gallon, but also it gives you more room. Would you miss the dual zone AC? Maybe. That's just not available. But I think it's a great commuter vehicle, a great second car, and just shows what you can do with a small car and a hybrid, and certainly a Prius alternative. Hey, it's time for me to say I'm Fred Staab.
I'm Les Jackson.
We are going to see you down the road.
Bye.